Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another UFC fight prediction video. In this video, I'll be predicting the full card of fights for UFC Fight Night, Vera versus Sandhagen. So without further ado, let's get to our first fight on the card. So in our first fight, we have in the flyweight division, Vinicius Salvador versus Victor Altamirano, and the hot seats right here is I see Altamirano as the more well-rounded fighter. I'm leaning him here to win this fight. I feel like neither of these fighters are the greatest fighters, to be honest. I don't really have the highest ceiling for either of them. Matter of fact, Altamirano might have some potential, to be honest. Because I see even Brandon Moreno kind of look similar to this early on in his career. Like, maybe not the best takedown defense, maybe not the best overall grappling, but, the heart and desire was there. And the skill was there as well, but it was still raw. But again, well-rounded, a little rough, a little bit green, but you got the heart and desire. You can train, you're going to constantly get better. That takedown defense will get sharper. Your jiu-jitsu will get sharper. The striking might not be a little bit slappy at the beginning, but you start adding some power, some slappy power punches. Then all of a sudden your body started to get cleaner. You started to draw it in. But again, the more well-rounded fighter, the guy with more heart, the guy that's going to mix it up more. When on Salvador's side, I just see a guy that, just swing big shots and, kind of just wins himself out. And I feel like that's the perfect style for Altamirano, just to come on late or just to wear him down and then tap him out. So I feel like Salvador will come on swinging big shots. I expect Altamirano's boxing defense to be a little bit sharper in this one. And I expect everything to be a little bit tightened up. Where from Salvador, I expect him to still be one-dimensional for the most part and just swinging big shots, looking to plant and trade and those big shots. And I think Altamirano just ultimately going to be able to mix them up, mix it up. I said mix them up. Chain the wrestling in there, mix the striking in there, and just wear him down over the course of the fight. First round, a little bit dicey, a little bit rough. But as the fight goes on, Salvador going to start to gas, mouth breathing. Matter of fact, he was mouth breathing the whole fight on the Contender Series. So he definitely be mouth breathing, probably even in the first round. And the second round is going to be gas. And when the guy that's still standing there in front of him, still mixing up, holding him against his cage, dirty boxing him, trying to drag him to the mat. And you just like, all the thing you train to do is not working no more. You just gas. And I just see Altamirano ultimately like tapping him in the third round. So in this one, I have Victor Altamirano via third round submission. Now to our next fight, we have in the lightweight division, we have Manuel Torres versus Trey Ogden. And high season right here, I'm going Trey Ogden with not a whole lot of confidence. Ogden's a solid fighter, but just can't really get behind him too much just yet. But I've got to go with him here. I feel like Manuel Torres, that's largely, he's shown to be multi-dimensional, so that's good enough. But when you look at his overall competition, he has not fought the best competition. Ogden just knocked off a pretty solid prospect in Zellhuber. I don't know if Zellhuber really showed up for that fight, but still beat him nonetheless. I think shut him out like 2-1 rounds or 3 rounds. And Zellhuber never really got in that fight. I think Torres will be much more active, especially in that fight. But I feel like Torres has a grappling deficiency, but you could say in some sense Ogden does as well, when most of his losses have come by submission. Well, 2 guys with submission deficiencies, I guess. Well, maybe. But again, Ogden, most of his submission losses came to the same guy, so maybe that guy just had he just figured him out. So maybe that guy has his number. But yeah, I'm going with the more credentialed grappler. I think the guy Ogden is the jiu-jitsu coach for his gym, so I'm going with more with him. And as far as Torres, been looking somewhat impressive in some of these fights, but who hasn't been fighting? When I look at the competition, he's been fighting guys that's undersized, beating guys undersized, just to be the guy who was getting in the UFC and about to be cut pretty much, and hadn't fought in 2 years after being knocked out. So I can't really get behind Torres just yet. Like, Torres, who have you beaten? And you got submission, you got grappling deficiency. And I feel like Ogden has been fighting better competition than you. Like, his 1-1 in the UFC, his only loss to Jordan Levitt, who's underrated in the UFC. Not like no super stud or anything, but underrated. And possibly, if they matched Torres up with Levitt, I probably would pick Levitt in that one. And the fact that Ogden, MMA man here, had a close fight with him. But nonetheless, I'm just going to go with Ogden here. I feel he could get the sub. I'm going to say like a second round sub for Ogden. I feel like Ogden is not that one dimension. I feel like he's actually pretty underrated on the feet. Especially he stays active and, minus his defense. That's about all he needs. Minus his defense, be active. Set the takedown up, or, you get somebody respect on the feet enough, the opportunities will present themselves, get it to the mat, or maybe in a scramble, get it to the mat. And I'm going to say like a second round submission, probably like a late second round submission. Fill out process, definitely a rough, scrappy fight. We'll have to work hard for those grappling exchanges, but once he gets there, I feel like he'll have a clear advantage. I think he'll exploit that advantage and get a submission over Manuel Torres. So in this one, I got Trey Ogden via second round submission. Now to our next fight, we have in the flyweight division, CJ Vergara versus Daniel da Silva in high 6-1 right here. I just feel like this one is, it writes itself. Like, you got CJ Vergara, a fighter who gets stronger as the fight goes on. maybe a little bit of a slow starter. You got Daniel Silva, who's a fast starter, but it's not like he's a phenomenal fast starter or anything. Like he's just a fast starter. You got those guys like this guy's a fast starter. Like he'll destroy anyone in the first 50 seconds. He'll destroy anyone in the first 2 minutes. He'll destroy anyone in the first round if you let him. Or if you like slip it any bit, you gotta be on all your P's and Q's fully locked in survival mode. This guy's a killer in the first round, but beyond the first round, he's a dud. Daniel Silva, he just goes all in the first round. It's not like he's no super monster or anything. So CJ Vergara could beat him in the first round, but that's really what all his concern is in the first round. We know CJ Vergara is tough. He's durable. He's a gamer. He's a fighter. I feel like he's the more technical fighter. So he could definitely win that first round, but I see more so as probably still winning that first round. Daniel Silva looking okay in the first round, but then the second round just completely just swamping out, and Vergara just putting it on him and TKOing him in the second round. So in this one, I got CJ Vergara via second round TKO. Now to our next fight, we have in the welterweight division, Trevin Gals versus Preston Parsons. And how I see right here is I'm going Preston Parsons. When I look at Gals, dude just very inconsistent. I did not like that about him. And he just had those fights. I just feel like, I'm not even going to drag this prediction out here. I just feel like Gals, he had issues staying locked in. Like in the last fight, he was locked in the whole fight, but not like, that was just fighting on, like my job's on the line. I'm just fighting extra cautious. It was a very lackluster performance, and he just got by because his opponent was, timid as well. Like two timid fighters. It wasn't a case of he fought a smart, clean strategy. Like both guys were scared to fire. Both guys were respecting each other too much. It wasn't a case of Gals fought such a clean, smart fight. It wasn't that. It's a difference. Like you might say, oh, it's the same thing. Like he fought more reserved. Nah, he fought timid. If it was somebody with decent output or skill set, they probably just took advantage of that timidity. Smart is like, no, still put up the same output, but keep in mind to put your defense up or use your feet or not stay that in the range or something like that. That's the adjustments you would need. Like, stay mindful. Don't mean to lock yourself up. But anyway, I feel like Parsons is a fighter I could trust to mix it up more. I feel like he's a more well-rounded fighter. I feel like Gals definitely can have those flashes of greatness in fights that maybe Parsons lacks. That's maybe what some Parsons lacks in his game to, maybe go further than maybe a middle of the pack fighter. I'm already kind of etching his career out. Like I feel like he's default just been a middle of the pack career fighter that's solid everywhere, good student of the game. But other than that, again, flashes is all they are. And I don't think there's no flash where you can flash knockout over Parsons. I don't think he can maintain that. We've seen him in these fights where he's looking okay, and then he's not looking okay. He's not okay. But yeah, I almost see that in this fight. I feel like he's going to have some moments on the feet, but anytime he starts having moments, I feel like Parsons is going to mix it up. And again, the guy who's going to be able to have that ability to mix it up is going to have great success in this one. And the guy that's going to be able to stay composed and stay cleaner through the rounds is going to be there to have success. And I'm going to go with a favorite on this card. Well, a favorite for me as far as on this card, second round subs. So I'm going to go second round sub Preston Parsons. I feel like he's going to mix it up. Get those takedowns out of Gals, stay on Gals, make Gals constantly have to wear him down, outwork him. And then in second round, I feel like I'm going to start to catch Gals clean with his hands start to drop, mouth start to open, hurt him, drag him to the mat, and tap him out second round. Or maybe Gals going to stumble and get caught in the guillotine or something. Because I think when he did lose his submission, I think both of them went by a guillotine. I'm just going to say submission. I ain't going Pacific submission, but I'm going like a second round submission for Preston Parsons. So in this one, I got Preston Parsons via second round submission. Now to our next fight, we have in the featherweight division, Steven Peterson versus Lucas Alexander. And how I see from right here is I'm going Steven Peterson. I just feel like Lucas Alexander isn't the most experienced fighter. I just feel like he's very raw. And I feel like Peterson has a wealth of experience over him. And I think he has the grappling advantage over him and overall the better fighter. I feel like Lucas Alexander may be the cleaner striker, but I feel like Peterson, the more consistent striker, more experienced fighter. You can look cleaner when the fight's going your way, or you having a fight at your range. But when a guy starts to push a pace on you, touching you more than you want to be touched and making you uncomfortable, I feel like that's what I'm talking about. I feel like Lucas Alexander his striking gonna start to, the cleanness of his striking gonna drop significantly. The output of his striking gonna drop significantly. That's feel like Peterson ultimately is going to overwhelm him. But Peterson not being the most consistent fighter or the most skilled or most technical, most pretty fighter out, he probably still going to turn this into a sloppy dog fight. But I think he'll thrive better in that chaos and just be constantly overwhelming. Look at Alexander making the cage very small, throwing a lot of wild and unorthodox strikes that probably gonna get him hurt at times as well. Like probably swinging, spinning back for get caught overhand or something. Maybe stumble a little bit and keep coming back, smothering Lucas Alexander's space. and just wearing him down over the course of the fight and then tapping him out in the third round. So in this one, I got Steven Peterson via third round submission. Now on to our next fight we have in the featherweight division, Daniel Pineda versus Tucker Lutz. And how I see this one right here is I got Tucker Lutz beating Pineda. Pineda, I feel like overall he's the more skilled, more talented fighter, but with the PEDs not being there or being not there, and the suspicions and the inactivity and the age factor, I got to go with the younger fighter, Tucker Lutz. I feel like Tucker Lutz, he has a good solid grounded skill set, like, okay striking, okay grappling, okay fight IQ, good wrestling. Like, he's not the most talented, greatest fighter or anything like that. Oh, this guy's such a talent, but he's a guy that you can see he has all the tools you need at least. And he's a younger fighter. He can make the improvements. I feel like Pineda's on the downtrend, older, and like, again, we don't know how flat he can come in. Also in the UFC, he has never had the most consistent success. Like, even when he was younger in the UFC, he kind of struggled to win. And, ultimately was not for him. Came back to the UFC, he had success, but yeah, like, always expected. Every time he has success, it's kind of been behind PEDs. And I don't think at this point, I just feel like he's going to try to just, fight this one clean, I guess. And I think that's going to cause him to lose. So in this one, I got Tucker Lutz just outworking him, fighting a workman type performance, clinching him up, making the cage small, try to work for takedowns, and just preventing Pineda from having space to, throw leg kicks, calf kicks and stuff, and, really generate power. And just, wear him down over the course of the fight and beat him in a decision. So in this one, I have Tucker Lutz via decision. Now to our main card, we have in our first fight in the middleweight division, Chidi Njokuani versus Albert Duraev. And how I see this one right here is I'm going Albert Duraev. I just feel like Njokuani and his brother, his family, I guess, to this point, until they have like a third Njokuani or fourth Njokuani or fifth Njokuani who turns out to be like Kamaru Usman reborn or something, or somebody else or something, maybe a Kobe fan, who knows. And they start, wrestling more, or, being more wrestlers than strikers, or maybe more well-rounded mixed martial artists. But I feel like both of them brothers had issues with wrestling grapplers and, Russian fighters who, want to take you down and control you. And I haven't really had them have success against those type of fighters. So I'm going Albert Duraev because of that. I mean, Albert Duraev is not as impressive as I would looking at it or, believing him to be, but I feel like he's manageable enough to beat Njokuani. I feel like he can wrestle him for like 2 rounds and, maybe hold his own for the third round. And it's also like, it's not like Njokuani just straight up killer. I feel like a lot of times he doesn't put away people that he should have put away, or fights stay longer than they should. And I feel like because of that, the fact that he has had issues with wrestler grapplers a lot in his career, and, still really hasn't really beat too many like notable wrestler grapplers in his career, that I feel confident enough to lean to Albert Duraev. I'm saying I'm high confidence, no, probably like an average confidence, saying no, oh my gosh, this guy's a killer. I definitely can't say that for Njokuani either. Like, I mean, he's a killer on the feet, given the right matchup. But yeah, and Duraev is a killer on the ground, given the right matchup. But between these two, it's a toss-up. But average confidence Duraev, just based off just more history of Njokuani struggling with fighters like Duraev, than Duraev struggling with fighters like Njokuani. And we look at it, Durev's one loss in UFC, lost to a guy who, has a background in wrestling, like a shorter, stocky, explosive striker that, has a wrestling background. Njokuani's a guy who has a striking background, who was explosive in his own way, but he's not like that physically strong, or guy with a wrestling background that, can naturally defend takedowns better and pop up to his feet and stuff like that. And, actually score takedowns of his own this one. So yeah, I'm going Albert Duraev. I'm going to say decision here. He's going to score the takedowns, mix up maybe with some power shots, look at the level change, drag to the mat, and really just more so blanking Njokuani. I don't see him getting into submission. I don't see him doing much damage, but I see him just grind out a decision. Who knows? Maybe it'd be one of those decisions where judges say, well, he did more damage or something. All you did was blanket and hold. But I think Duraev will do some decent damage on the ground. I just don't think he'll do nothing notable or anything fighting in this fight. I don't think Njokuani will either. So in this one, I have Albert Duraev via decision. Now to our next fight we have in the flyweight division, Alex Perez versus Manel Kape in the high season right here. As I'm going Manel Kape to beat Alex Perez, with high confidence here. I feel like Alex Perez wrestling and maybe calf kicks and maybe output could be an issue, but I haven't seen the last time when Alex Perez has ever put out output. Like, I think since he returned, he's been getting tapped out. Haven't even had a chance to really mix in any striking or have any real success in these fights. And I don't think he's gonna come out, in this fight all of a sudden bring out a pace or nothing that's crazy. And if he does, I feel like he's going to leave himself open for counters to get rocked and dropped or something. And I feel like you may say, oh, Perez wrestling could be an issue. I feel it could definitely be an issue, but I feel like Kape's wrestling is underrated. I feel like he has had issues in some fights with it, But I feel like it's manageable enough that he can stuff the takedowns and address the wrestling Perez. But I don't feel like Perez can address the the activity of Cop, the momentum of Cop, the power of Cop, the timing of Cop. And I think Cop has the better BJJ as well. So I feel like ultimately Perez might have limited success in this fight, but I feel like it'll be short lived. I feel like Cop will get his timing down, start his stuff his takedown, start to tag him, hurt him. And also I feel like Perez has ever wore damage very well. I feel like the one time he really got caught clean, I feel like every time he get any bit of the threat of getting hit hard or he gets hit hard, I feel like he kind of wilters and just dips off very quickly. Either gets tapped out after that or gets pounded out. I mean, it's only been a couple fights I'm referencing, but still. Yeah. So I'm going Mantle Cop here. I feel like he'll be able to find time to Perez pretty quickly or, without much issue in this one, hurt Perez. They probably force Perez to shoot a panic takedown. I think Cops miss him, and I think it's going to be first round. So in this one, I had Mantle Cop via first round submission. Now to our next fight, we have in the women's flyweight division, we have Andrea Lee versus Maycee Barber. And this isn't a fight I could be super high confident at all, low confidence, just fade the whole fight, just forget the whole fight, to be honest. But that's Andrea Lee. I'm going Maycee Barber to beat Andrea Lee. Maycee Barber is the younger fighter. I think she's the more active fighter. It is not an easy fight. I can see if Maycee Barber had, better wrestling and she could score takedowns on Andrea Lee and just control her. But it's not the case. I feel Maycee Barber looks good when she could go in there and stuff the takedowns of maybe a lower wrestler and then outstrike them. That's when she looks at her best. But going there with a striker, I feel like that could be issues. And, it's kind of that style match where Maycee Barber might not be able to get a takedown on her. And it can easily end up when Maycee Barber struggling to get the takedown again and outstruck. That definitely could easily be the path. But I'm going to go Maycee Barber to make it, win an ugly fight. Probably smothering the cage, maybe landing a heavier shot. Maycee Barber maybe isn't the most technical striker in the division. I'm not saying she's one of the worst strikers at all, but I'm saying she's not creme de la creme of the division of striking or creme de la creme of women's MMA striking. She's a little bit above average as far as, the creme de la creme of MMA women's striking. But she does got a little bit of power on her. And I feel like she can definitely crack Andrea Lee. I think Andrea Lee got the kicks. If Andrea Lee could catch her on top, but I feel like Maycee Barber does well to defend herself from head kicks. I feel that's where Andrea Lee could do most damage with her kicks and maybe her knees in the clinch or something. But ultimately, I just feel Maycee Barber's going to make this a smother fest, maybe crack her with some big shots at points in this fight, and then just mostly hug her against the cage, trying to work for takedowns. Maybe getting these little half takedowns, still scoring his takedowns, but those little takedowns in his cage where you kind of have them down for 5 seconds and they pop back up, but the whole time you're they're just right up underneath their chin the whole time. Those type of takedowns, you're not getting the full, drag them away from the cage, pull them into their guard or fall into their full guard and you just punch them in the ribs and punch them in the stomach and punch them in the head, you get that full control and you start to posture up, land, ground pound. It's not. I feel it's not gonna be much of that in this fight. I feel like it's mostly gonna be half takedowns where Barber's not really even fully in control of the fight, and maybe even Lee is landing more shots off her back while she's trying to stand up and get back up. But Barber didn't want to get back up on the cage, hugging her, chin underneath her head, and throwing some punches, little weak foot stomps and knees to the thighs and hammer fists to the knees and hammer fists to the thighs and calves and stuff like that, and quads, etc. It's gonna be one of those type of smother fest, and I'm just giving you a whole visual of the fight, but I think it's gonna be that type of fight. And if you watch at least 10 MMA fights, you know what fight I'm talking about. So yeah, I'm going Maycee Barber to win a decision here. So in this one, I have Maycee Barber via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the featherweight division, Nate Landweir versus Austin Lingo, and Heist war right here between Landweir versus Lingo. I'm going Landweir, high confidence here. I feel like with Lingo, I think the biggest issue for him, the biggest concern if you're picking against Lingo is the power, maybe the boxing a bit. But I feel like Nate Landweir has fought at a higher level, and he has showed that his boxing is, okay. Defensively, that's still the issue. No matter how you cut it, the defense is the issue. He's technically not that bad at striking. Now, the defense, no matter how you look at his defense on boxing, is terrible. Whether you look at it from an MMA standpoint, whether you look at it from a barroom brawler standpoint, any level of that thing is terrible. But I feel like he should be able to mix it up against Lingo. So, take away some of the threat of the power, because now you got Lingo, when he feel like he's overcommitting to strikes, Landweir's going to be looking to duck under, score takedowns, and really just smother him. But yeah, Lingo got a good puncher's chance for sure, but I feel like that's about it. I feel like Landweir's better everywhere. I feel like Landweir's the better wrestler, the better grappler, the better, experience, better situationally. Essentially, I'm not even going to try to say it right now. I'm butchering that word. Better in, various situations, and overall in most situations, I think Landweir will address them better, respond better in those situations. But yeah, let us get to the point. Landweir is going to I feel overwhelm him, mixing in the wrestling and the grappling, high pressure. It just grind him down over the course of the rounds, and I think he taps him out in the third round. So yeah, I think it's going to be a wear down effect, grind effect, constant pressure, chain wrestling, and just wearing Lingo down, then ultimately tapping him out in the third round. So in this one, I got Nate Landweir via third round submission. Now to our next fight we have in the women's bantamweight division, we have Holly Holm versus Yana Santos. And how I see this one right here is I'm going Holly Holm, not with a whole lot of confidence. She's, 41, 42, 49, something like that. She's in her 40s, like early 40s, but she's in her 40s. Going against Yana Santos, who I think is in her late 30s. So it's not like neither of these women are, on the beauty pad and are so young. We're not saying they ugly or anything. I'm just saying they just not young. They ain't no sweet 16. They ain't no 21 or nothing like that. Or no 25s or 20s. They're in their late 30s and early 40s. So, yeah. Go on Holly Holm here. I just feel like Holly Holm, even at this point in her career, is still better everywhere than Yana Santos. Yana Santos ain't no power puncher. She ain't no great striker. She's a hug you against the fist type fighter. I feel like Holm has been doing very well at being a hug and a fist fighter. I think she's the physically more strong fighter, the more well-conditioned fighter. She's the fighter who trains harder. I think she can mix up more. I feel like in the striking department, I feel like Holm has a clear advantage there. And I feel like in this one, it's not going to be Holm trying to, maybe not trying to hold against the cage as much. She's still going to probably hold against the cage. But I feel she'll be more willing to strike with a fighter like Santos, who really don't got Yana Santos. Or let me say Yana Kunitskaya, who not really a heavy-handed fighter herself. So I feel like Holm will be able to mix up more defeat and probably do more step aside kicks, more stepping kicks, get back to her little cardio kickboxing, cardio karate style, where she's doing that and stuff and more, and like doing that more in this fight. Not as much because obviously she's 40, but manage that more. But obviously she's not gonna be hugging as much because she's not worried about getting hit by a power shot. She's more so was doing that because like Peterson, she could crack a little bit. What's her name? Caitlin Vera. She can crack a bit. Those were issues in those fights. So like that's not an issue in this fight. Santos really can't crack like that, and I feel like Holm can crack more than her. She's the more technical striker. I feel like, again, I just feel like she's better in every area and she should get a decision here. But again, the age, you don't know how the age is going to affect you. I don't feel like Santos is going to come here and make any better, but it's going to be the case is Holm going to come in any worse. That's the concern. So outside of that, like significantly coming in worse, I got Holm here winning. So in this one, I have Holly Holm via decision. Now to our next fight we have in our main event in the bantamweight division, Marlon Vera versus Corey Sandhagen in the bantamweight division. And how I see this one right here is I'm going Corey Sandhagen. About average confidence here. I'm just more so with this one, I'm leaning to Corey Sandhagen on the fact that he can push a pace. He can seemingly maintain a pace. Vera is kind of relying on, hurting his opponent or what he has been doing. I don't know if he's relying on that. That's just his style, and he just tends to have to rally and either finish his opponent or hurt his opponent significantly to win rounds. But I'm not expecting him to come here and be any different. I'm not expecting him to come out here with any earlier on urgency. I'm expecting him, if he did any urgency, it's going to be later, like typically. So I'm not expecting him to come out here, I'm going to set a pace early. I'm going to start blasting leg kicks early. I'm going to be in your face. I'm going to be bobbing and weaving, entering on inside, ripping you the body, then chewing your leg up. Being that aggressive fighter early. I feel like he's going to be his typical self, standing there, getting combinations put on him, going into that shell a little bit. Maybe kind of looking to sneaking some little calf kicks in there and stuff. Maybe peppering the jab every now and then. Maybe look for like a sneaker head kick in there, like maybe try to find that damage. But again, not very actively looking to match Sandhagen's pace early or lead the dance so much. And then also, when I look at Vera, if that's your path to victory, most of the people, matter of fact, everybody, I feel like, everybody Vera has fought and beaten on the streak is over 35 or 35 or older. I think Font's the youngest fighter. He was 35 when Vera fought him, I believe. Then everyone else was older. Like he beat Edgar as well, like barely beat Edgar. Needed that last, that final kick to get him out of there. If not, that fight could have easily went to Edgar. Dominic Cruz was up like 2-1, or if not 3-1, or 3-0 or something. Like, but Cruz was winning the round. He was winning the point battle, the round battle, and then he needed to finish him in the fourth, basically. Or it was crucial he got him, did what he did in the fourth, either to get a decision or, like, by the way, again, needed damage to beat a fighter that's already 38 and with a broken down body. And like I said, I just see a lot of people, again, he's beating aren't the best fighter. Well, I'm not saying aren't the best fighter. They aren't at the best. They aren't the youngest spring chickens. You can say something about Sandhagen, but you can say, oh, he just beat a young fighter in Song. But and also you can say he beat Marlon Marlon Moraes. Like I said, they both ain't really beating the youngest people, but Corey Sandhagen at least fighting younger fighters. And like at least Piotr Jan was like 30 or something. So at least fighting younger fighters and stuff, and seemingly winning against some younger fighters. Whereas Vera, like, look at all his wins. They all been against fighters like legends for the most part that are up there in age. And Font, who is pretty solid, but again, kind of getting up there in age for bantamweight. So I'm going with Corey Sandhagen here. And also, you talking about damage. Vera has shown to be, not Vera. Sandhagen has shown to be tough in a lot of his fights. Maybe outside to get submitted by Aljo, which is like, you got somebody, a perfect submission sunk in, like, it's not no toughness to that. You going to sleep, which he did. But Sandhagen has not shown to be no quitter. Like, he get hurt, he going. But again, like, the people who Vera has beat have not been like, not tough. They just been older. They don't wear the damage much. Frank Edgar has been in a lot of wars. He's older. That shot, maybe in the past, he will roll back up and go blast double leg and scoop you up and slam you. But he's not. He was like pushing 40 or was 40. These people again pushing 40 and stuff, or in 40s. They can't respond well, but Sandhagen is a young fighter. They're both in their 30s. Vera actually a little bit younger, which is surprising. So both of these guys are right in their 30s, right 30 years old. Probably both turning 31 this year. But going Sandhagen here to outwork Vera and still maintain in the later rounds. And I see this a very scrappy back and forth fight. And also I feel like Sandhagen in this moment going to see that he hasn't really, has failed at this point in his career a lot, or like 0-3 in this moment, like Aljo, what's his name? Aljo, Dillashaw, and Jan. He has, come to this point and he has lost 3 times. And I feel like this is going to be a case where he's going to bite down on that mouthpiece and say, I ain't losing again in this moment. And Vera just relying on, like, trying to do that rally again. I just feel like Sandhagen is just not going to go for it. And I feel like he's going to get up and, like I said, really make that adjustment and come on hard, stay in there in the 4th, 5th round, maybe win all the rounds. Or I'm not going to say he's definitely not winning all the rounds. If I had to bet on that, I would say he's not winning all the rounds. So it ain't going to be that. But I think he's going to maybe snag one of those like 4th and 5th rounds. I think he's going to snag both of them. But I think he'll definitely take at least 2 of the first rounds. Then I think he'll take one in the 4th or 5th, one in the 4th and the 5th rounds. So I don't think he'll take both of those rounds, but I definitely think he'll be game. He's going to dip off or get hurt and then just like get knocked out or get hurt and then just lose himself in the fight. He's going to stay with the fight and he's going to mix it up well. Also, he'll be the fighter looking to mix it up more as well. But I think this will be a very scrappy fight. But I think Vera's tendency to, rely on hurting his opponent and, coming on late will be his undoing in this one. So in this one, I have Corey Sandhagen via decision. And that concludes my fight predictions for the 4 card of fights for UFC Fight Night, Vera versus Sandhagen. And as always, thanks for watching.